quickly go? Why don't we quickly go around and introduce, update if there's any news? That's part of the process here, so we get to know what the different organizations are up to. I'm Barbara Kale, and I will give a chair report. Merit,
Oh, I'm Merit Wood. I'm a neighborhood person.
okay.
Aubrey Balcom, I'm with Hebrew Home River Spring.
Sharon Asherman, I'm with the Riverdale Y.
Miriam,
Miriam Rabner, MJHS Health System, and a Riverdale resident.
okay, any news? Oh, and Alexis, of course.
Alexis Rummy, former resident. Miss it though.
And daughter of Mary Ellen Gibbs,
Yes.
a blessed memory. Any news anybody wants to share before we get started?
Bill Towns. Committee member.
Yeah. Aaron, do you want to share what we're doing in February? Collaboratively, presentations?
How about anything of particular note, maybe a minute or so? Or 2 minutes, anything happening in February?
I will gladly share that as an organization, we were successful in contracting with New York State Department of Health to be one of, I think it's 15 or so organizations across the state that will be piloting the Johns Hopkins Capable model. And that is a model that combines an occupational therapist, a nurse, and a handy worker to go into people's homes to address their needs so that they can successfully age in place. We're still working through the kinks with the state, but over 3 years, we hope to support 200 people. There will, of course, be eligibility requirements, income requirements, et cetera, that the state is putting out there. But the individual will be able to work with an occupational therapist that will come to the home, understand what issues might be limiting them from the ability to live successfully in their home. They'll also work with a nurse that will come out for, I think it's 4 or 5 times to the home to meet with them over a period of 5-6 months. Work on their life plan, and then if there is a need for minor home modification or just equipment that could help someone live a full life in their home, there's a little bit of a budget to help with that. So these are things, there's not a budget for like ramps and widening doorways, but it's things like making adjustments to lights in case, so someone can see successfully, or removing area rugs, or sometimes there are devices, like if you need a brace to help keep you upright so that relieves a little back pain. They're just little things, but it aligns with the patient's life goals.
What is the name of this program?
It's called the Capable Program, and was developed by Johns Hopkins University. New York State Department of Health decided last spring that they wanted.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get this thing to turn off the volume.
That they wanted to identify organizations that we could pilot this program. And so I bring it up because as we work through the mechanics, we'll probably work with the community board as well as organizations that are represented on the community board to identify individuals that we think would be appropriate.
Mazel tov. That's quite
It sounds
quite a
expensive.
feat. It's a lot
Yeah.
to go through that process, right? The RFP, all of that.
It's expensive and covers a lot.
It's interesting, it piggybacks a bit on the idea of the NORC, where you bring the services into the home, into the community.
So I have an update on that too.
Oh, please.
What's it called?
After
NORK?
NORC, after our meeting last time, and we learned more about the NORCs, Doyle expressed interest and we have a building over on Hudson, on Johnson Avenue, Hudson House, that is 55 older, individuals, apartments for
They live
older
in
adults.
there?
And so we've been talking about, we're interested because the community, that part of the community qualifies for a NORC if you look at the demographics. And so Doyle and I were gonna get together to see, is there an ability to like partner with the existing groups that are there, just to say, how can we bring more money into the community? We don't want to operate NORCs, I can tell you that. But we were interested. I reached out to my friend at the state. So the city put out that white paper that we're familiar with. I reached out to my friend at the state, and they indicated that we should be seeing maybe some more state funding for state supported NORCs. So nothing definitive at this time,
What
but
does the NORC entail, what they looking for, what kind of a building or what? An elevator, what do their needs are?
so my understanding is that it's really providing some programs and services.
Right, so you have to have a
Coordination.
community, whether it's a series of apartment buildings or a neighborhood that has a certain number of households. I think it's 60% where have one member who is over age 60. So for example, like where the Riverdale Y has the Park NORC, 60 within the amalgamated houses, there's 60% of the houses have one person who's living there who's over age 60, Culver City. There's also a capacity to have neighborhood NORCs, which is, I guess, what you're looking at, where you designate a certain number of streets where people are aging in place. And we know that Riverdale actually has a higher population of older adults than other areas of the city. So I mean that's great. I mean, I would think that you could come up with between the Centuries and the 555 K-Pox and the housing on Johnson Avenue, and then you probably can come up with a series of buildings that would qualify.
And the community around there.
And
it's
the
like
neighborhood.
40%.
Last
Yeah.
week, last month about Knowles Crescent is part of that.
Knowles Crescent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's right next to 555, that's right next to,
Right, so,
That's
There's a
where
bunch of-
Doyle lives.
right.
and just,
How-
it
how about
also
that
goes by private houses if you apply for a neighborhood NORC. You just have to get the demographics in line with the state Office of Aging's requirements.
What about the Netherlands?
Well, that might be in the whole.
It
different
might be,
area,
it depends, the
but-
people, it's
No
when you
question.
sit down and go through the application and go through, street by street, what, building by building, what the percentage of people who meet the qualifications is, then you decide what area you're gonna delineate.
Is there any limit, how many places you can do it? Do they have a limit, like you can only do 10 programs or 15 programs or?
It's pretty much up to the government.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I'll contact Doyle, but maybe you, Doyle, and I.
Yeah,
if
so
together can see what we can do about getting the three entities that we need, the health,
right.
yeah,
the management, and see where it might possibly be located.
yeah, Doyle and I were both really
That's
excited,
great.
at the last meeting, and we just said, both of us just feel that it's an opportunity for us to get more resources in the community, and, she's willing to do what she can do. I'm willing to, do data or help write a grant or whatever it is, so we just thought before the announcement comes out, let's start
Well,
having
the RFP
conversations.
to be able
And
to
I'll
apply, that's
look
great.
with you on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it may be, maybe you guys take the lead or something, I don't know, I mean, I don't wanna put any,
Yeah, right.
more on your plate, but,
Right,
cause it just needs to
Right.
make sense for the community where it
Right,
goes.
Maybe
right?
they
So-
can make a team, to do
Let's-
that.
I think one of the things that we can do, first of all, is let's get a few things out of the way. Let's do a roll call.
Oh,
Raquel, here. Lee Chong is not here. Georgia?
Yes.
Hey, Georgia.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you all? Happy New
Good.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Jill, you're here.
I'm here.
Doyle is not,
Not here.
Sharon,
Yeah,
Aubrey,
Here,
Miriam,
Here.
Merritt,
Here,
and Julie is not here, and Aubrey, okay.
Julie's here.
Julie Reyes,
Julie, are you, oh, there you are.
she's on the
Popped in.
screen.
I'm
Hi, Barbara. Happy New Year. I'm here.
Happy New Year. Okay, let's talk about the approval of the committee minutes. As, do I hear a motion to approve those? Have people had a chance to peruse them quickly? Are you all good with them? Any,
No problem.
any issues, problems? Okay. I move we approve the committee minutes. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I need a second on that.
I'll second.
Great. Okay, now, one of the things that we can refer back to on the committee minutes is that the presenter from the Amalgamated Newark Bailiff was very I'll say clear on what it takes to establish a NORC, and we can use that as a starting point. That there needs to be 3 specific entities, and we have to work together to an RFP. And I'll work with you, and
Yeah.
I'll
that'd be
reach
great.
out. Okay, my report, what I've done, as you can see from the emails, I went through and I got together the I looked at the resource guide. I got together I took the draft of the proposed structure, the last draft, and I tried to fill it out. I suggested people who might take a lead on it. And so what I'm looking for today to do is to start the work. We don't have a presenter for today. But what I'm looking to do is start the work on that. And talk about what in each category for and then you can let me know. I suggested people who might be helpful. I know Aubrey, you know so much about the housing, so I suggested that you might. So let me know. I don't want to put anybody in a position where they feel they can't say no. So I will go with this as something very tentative, and you're welcome to change, make suggestions, and contact me whenever you'd like on it.
May I just jump in, Barbara? Ma-
Love it.
Margie Shostak is no longer with RSS.
Right, he told me that,
Okay.
but she wants to be a community member. I
Okay,
understand.
great. I was just double checking whether she will continue to support this initiative.
Right.
Thank
No.
you.
I have included the person, and I'm blocking on the name, who took over her position on the emails, but I've yet to get any communication from RSS or representative. So you know what I need? I need to reach out to RSS something. And see what I can do there. I'll make a note. What I thought and see if it makes sense to you. And the last time we looked at it briefly, but there was a question on what I called an entry point. And so I did some research on it. And found that it's called a single point of access, at least in New York, for mental health services. That's what they're calling it. And I think there are other areas in which it's that term is used, and I think it's more intelligible than my single point of entry. So we can use that.
But we don't know the name of it.
I'm
Right?
sorry.
You don't know the name of it. The other terminology. You said
I
single
called
point
single
of,
point of action. I called it point of entry.
point of entry, okay.
Yeah. But we're not gonna use that. It's not intuitive enough.
Okay.
And I went through the categories and I found, if we look at them, a single, what I thought was more or less a single point of access. So I think that's partly done. So for example, the Medicare Rights Organist.org is wonderful about understanding Medicare. We need to get something like that for Medicaid. And that needs to be added.
Well, that, isn't that, it's already put in the draft.
This is just a draft.
No, I'm saying what I sent to you
Okay,
has that sort of information. I
let's,
mean, that organization, that's an organization that deals with Medicare. But both Medicare and Medicaid give people the opportunity to either by telephone or by chat or some other way to communicate and to ask questions and so forth. The Medicare.org is a place that helps people, but this is information coming directly from those agencies that administer those
Yes.
programs, so that's why I added those two.
oh, absolutely. What I wanted to do is go through for each, and then I wanted to go through the medical as sort of an example,
Okay.
was my thinking. Let's see
Do you
how.
want me
it
to
goes.
share the draft on the screen?
Yes, please. That would be great. So for each of these categories, I've tried to locate a single point of access, not always successful. And then I think what we can reasonably expect in each of those categories, because we're all, busy and there's only so much time we can devote. Make sure, check out the single point of access and then review the listings in the category. They were updated last spring. So we want to make sure, if you have time, to check that all that information is accurate, but more importantly, if we look at, and we'll look at it in a few minutes, if we look at the resource guide itself, it will list places that and describes the services, but it doesn't describe the services very specifically. It takes off, looks like it comes off the web. It provides this.
And does it give a telephone number how to reach them?
The web probably. We don't, what I'd like as much as possible for us is to look at Riverdale Senior Services or the Y. And it offers services under many different categories, right, many different areas. So I think it would be better, for example, RSS offers lunch every day. So under food, we might put that information or whatever category you want to put it in, rather than just list everything that RSS does, be more specific with a little more detail. There's lunch at noon, pretty much daily. I don't know if I'm making sense. It'll make more sense when we look at the resource guide. So we want to add more detail and specificity to each of our entities. Is my thinking. And then, if you have time, because this is not a small thing, and it may take us more than one meeting to do this. If you have time, I'm thinking, muck about the internet if you have access. Just see what's out there, see if you find something that wasn't listed. Ask around, you guys know all sorts of people. And so you could ask them, hey, do you know what services do you use? Do you know any other places where people can access? That's there already.
Oh, it is, okay. I didn't see.
Thank you. So sort of using your own network, the internet, your own network briefly. And personal connections. I think there's a limit. Let's bring up the resource guide for health. For health, and then what Jill was kind enough
The senior research
to
guide?
add to that. Yeah, that's in the resource guide. Jill,
That's 2016.
I have a hard copy of the resource guide. I don't know. Now this should be the updated one. The title page never got updated.
How do we know what's updated?
I don't think that's the updated one,
How do we know?
unless she's. That's not the updated one. That's the 2016 copy of the senior resource guide.
How would we know?
If she's-
What distinguishes the,
I would say, I should say 2020.
I think I saw one that had a border and one that didn't.
We can find the resource guide under Aging Committee. And I think that's the one I downloaded, but let's check.
Have to go to committees.
Yeah, go to committees.
Go to the top.
There would be committees.
And go to aging and the resource.
Look at that word first. Here we go. Well, that should be the most recent.
How do we
Let's see.
know? What's the distinction?
The office knows.
So can I just say that this was done in
They look the same to me.
2016, and I know that we were asked to submit updates maybe about a year ago, and I'm not sure those updates. That one says first edition. I'd want to know where she typed the updates into, because that's a
see the
PDF.
She said that.
Yeah,
But when Barry gave me the 2025, it still had those 2 pages.
okay.
Which hadn't been.
I noticed that one copy I had a border like this.
Huh.
And the other one did,
Okay,
but I couldn't figure out
which
how it
was
was supposed to
which?
distinguish, because they both said first edition 2016 and 2016 on them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I didn't have the time to read it page by page to figure out
Right.
one word change,
Yeah,
or if that was the most recent change. Which is why I said to you, I started to try to incorporate some of the things you said into editing this document. And I just stopped because I realized I had two documents and I didn't know which one was the most recent one. Just to sort of try to address some of your questions about some of the discussions we had last time
Right.
about how to make this more accessible to the community. So I was putting language in that was friendly to the community at large and to caregivers.
I will say, I liked where you were going with the single point of access or point of entry. I was thinking, if I was looking for a home care agency or a nursing home, where might I get started? And, there's so many.
And you are who?
If I was someone like a caregiver looking for my,
No, I know. Who it
sorry,
is.
no,
You know what I mean.
so if I was taking care of my grandmother,
Mhm.
right? And it got to the point where I needed to get some home care. I was looking at it as the end user
Right.
to say what resources would be helpful. And I started to incorporate those because I know from my working days, I know where I can go to and which ones are user friendly and which ones are not. And also unfortunately, there's a lot of scams out there nowadays too, or, things you have to pay for, like you go to care.com, but then you have to pay for it. You don't really.
Yeah.
So I started just noting what are the reputable government resources that you can go to identify, a nursing home,
homes.
a health plan, et cetera.
Yeah,
And
if
then
a
you
place
can
for mom
see
calls me one more time, I'm gonna scream and pull
Right.
my hair out.
Oh,
a place for
Place for
mom.
mom.
Yeah,
When I was starting down into this journey, I was trying to figure out where my mother fit in. And I think the first place I reached out to was there because it was close to me.
yeah,
I was told that that there was no space and that, whatever. So then I went to generally a place for mom.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, I don't know how I found anything now because I have a notebook full of things that I did. But that was the place that came up maybe with an ad online, who knows?
Yeah.
And it was just a journey around and around and around through so many things. So it is important that people know. But before they look, they need to understand where that person is in life.
I agree.
Because when I started this out, and also what organizations cater to whatever kind of I want to say medical coverage that the person has.
Except the coverage.
Well-
Is that what you mean?
Well,
I remember at some point realizing that because I had got my mother on Medicaid that she couldn't go to Westchester.
she wasn't allowed, or she
They
couldn't
don't
reach
have
there.
they don't have assisted living places in Westchester that take Medicaid.
Oh.
Really?
That's the wall I hit. Because I wanted
Yeah.
she lives in Co-op City, so I'm
Right.
thinking New Rochelle.
Mhm.
I had
New Rochelle
somebody.
wasn't good, huh?
No, I thought of New Rochelle because it was somebody that I had in a court case who went there. But I guess he had Medicare.
Yeah, I guess Willow Towers is their assisted living. United Health.
I know Willow Towers, but I don't think it was Willow Towers. It was someplace along there. Apparently, there's a few places along that road. And this place seemed like a really great place. And, I was thinking of safety and community and all that stuff and also proximity to friends. I hit a wall with Westchester. And which sent me back to the Bronx.
Yeah.
Which, sent me to New York City. Because I found a place in Harlem that I loved. I found your place, which I loved.
But in Harlem, it would be a distance from her friends.
All my mother's friends and family are not in Co-op City.
Oh.
That wasn't a determining factor. The
Oh.
determining factor was parking.
Oh,
Because that's the problem she has now. She's isolated because nobody wants to go see her
because
because of the parking.
the co-op city.
So the thing, yeah. So the thing about Harlem was it was just as bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the
for
thing
sure.
about what's your place called?
River
Spring.
Yeah.
River Spring.
Was that they had a parking lot. And I
Yeah.
said, maybe people will come now, you know, because they can park and because it was accessible.
That parking lot is not fun.
It doesn't matter, it's parking.
Yeah.
It's not Manhattan and it's not
Yeah,
Co-op City. It's a vast improvement.
yeah.
So,
So I was thinking of actually, as I was pulling these together, I was thinking of like writing a little bit of, I want to say narrative, but maybe some bullet points to help
Absolutely.
describe, like if I was
the
like
thought
all of a
process.
sudden like, oh my gosh, I can't take care of my grandmother anymore. I need help. Like if I wasn't in this industry for 20 years, I wouldn't know what to do, right? But so if I'm starting from scratch saying, I need to help my grandmother, what are some of the things that, you know, I could put in here to at least serve up to the group to say, does it make sense?
Right, whether they, and that's what I think I'm trying to say, whether the person is on Medicare or
Yeah.
Medicaid, that's one consideration.
And then I do have some resources that I'm aware of, again, just because of my background, that start to get to some of those questions where there are like New York State supported databases that now have easy to use portals where I can put in, okay, this is my health insurance and this is the doctor I'm looking, I'm looking for a physical therapist and I have Health First. And then it'll tell me, well, what Health First plan do you have? And then now it's only as good as, did the doctor update it with the state, but they're supposed to. There's supposed to be requirements that the docs are updating it. But there are some reputable tools nowadays that can help that process. Let me put them in here and see if we can help.
I think we're still, or at least I am still struggling with the audience
Audience?
for this, yes. Who is this resource guide aimed at?
Oh, the people who are
Who's
gonna
use it?
Oh, right.
I think there. Like Ayla said with the NORC, I think the young old are very different from the old. You would be able to tell me better.
I
But
think you have multiple audiences too. You've got people that might be faced with something happened in their life, right? And now it's like, okay, how do I find help or whatever I'm trying to deal with?
Mhm.
It
You
could
have
be the
people
spouse
like-
died, the spouse could have been there and the spouse died.
Yep. You have people like our social workers that are also looking for, okay, this person's gonna go home after a short-term rehab and I want to get them connected with a home delivered meal
Yes.
program, right?
yes,
And so I do think we have multiple audiences
I
there.
do, I agree. And I think that I'm thinking, out here, if we're talking about people in their 90s, we're talking about the old, they're not, they're gonna access stuff through some other.
Well, they're gonna access stuff through either caregiver.
A
there's a-
family member,
Wait a minute, they're gonna access stuff either through a caregiver, who could be a family member or not. They're gonna access stuff through a social worker that's provided to them after they have been released from medical care, because they're doing that a lot now. Emblem Health, or whoever my mother has a social worker, a nurse, or this person, that comes to the house. They're gonna access information if they go to a community place to have a meal, if they are able to do that. Because my mother has 24-hour care, but that doesn't mean she couldn't go out to JASA to have lunch. It's just she doesn't want to be around old people.
She's not old.
I think she doesn't want to be constantly reminded. She's not.
Seasoned.
First it was, people were significantly older or more infirm. Now, then it became, I don't want to be around all these old people. And now I think I went to RSS one day to have lunch and I thought, oh, this would be a great place. And then I thought, she can't see. She doesn't hear well. This would probably be very frightening or disconcerting to sit somewhere and not really feel connected. But to go back to your point, I think that it's the social workers that work with them. you know, my experience with the home aides is that they're not looking for information. They got a list of things they're supposed to check off and that, you know, and then you gotta really push them and have somebody supervise them. But it's those social workers that come to the house. It's the person from the Medicaid social worker. Other than that, we have the hospital, hospital social worker, we've got the Medicaid social worker. That I communicate with, that I send out mass emails to and say, look, this is what we need right now. Somebody get on this, or I'm having a problem with that, or, you know, as a caregiver. But I was also thinking for the people, the young, old, I made a suggestion to Barbara that we create, and I don't know if there's money for this, a poster. Maybe that size, maybe smaller, that goes to. Barbara, can I hold your hand for a minute, please? Whichever version it is.
Yes.
That's right. So we have a list of. We have in the index a list of. I thought I
And
said.
the index is, I think, the first or second.
So we have a list of different kinds of, in the table of contents, places, that are resources. But those resources can be resources for our resource.
Huh?
In that, if you walk into RSS and there's the desk that you sign into, maybe there could be a poster there on the wall that says, you know, here's the senior resource guide. Instead of printing copies of that resource guide, all of these pages, you have a QR code that takes you directly to. The people who go to those places probably have cell phones in many cases, and if they don't know how to use a QR code, nobody there can tell.
If COVID did anything positive for us, it was force us all to use QR.
Right, you can't go to a restaurant, you know, you can't.
I
just
don't
learned
use
last
Well,
week.
you may not, but
That
somebody might actually
Younger
help you.
will.
If somebody takes you to dinner and they don't have a menu, guess what? You're gonna have to use a QR code, or they're gonna have to use their phone to show you what you have to eat. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter whether you use it or not. There are some environments right now where that's the only thing you
I
can
go to
use.
my doctor's office and they want you to do all that stuff.
And somebody can help you do that, whether you do it or not. So the point is not what you do, the point is how things are being done now. If I want to do my laundry, I go to my machine down the hall from my apartment, and I can either put in the machine number, which is what you might do, or I can hold my phone up to the machine and turn the machine on.
We don't have that exactly.
Well, I'm just saying,
We have
that's,
it on another panel.
that's how things are
But we
being
got a
done.
possibility of a choice of not using it. It's on another panel.
And so do we,
Yeah.
but my point is, going back to the point, is that we have in some of these places that are senior centers, libraries, fitness places, veterans groups. But each
I think
category-
what you're saying is that the distribution for this.
you don't have to print it up anymore.
Right, it's huge,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because you can have a
Right.
poster that says, and
Hey.
in a lot of the resources, as you identified, the Riverdale Y,
Yeah.
others. If there's a poster, there's usually someone there that if you're having trouble accessing
There's
it,
somebody at
they
the
can
desk
help
when you
you,
walk into
or,
RSS, there's somebody at the desk when
Yeah.
you walk into the Y. You know, I've been to these places, so what if you can't? You know, if they have a phone, they can, you know, do it for you, they can send it to you, email it to you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those people, not only are they not the old, some of them aren't old.
yeah.
And then also-
Yeah, Alexis wanted to say, she had her hand up.
Oh, no,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I seen the resource thing. I noticed it was the same one. I was making sure I had the right one on my phone, so you're good.
This looks like, yeah.
Okay.
So that was my.
This is one I have up here, is the one that got edits.
How do we
Yes.
know
So
that?
it says 2016 on it.
Is
the
it-
front, but it
Yeah, but how do we know?
It
What's the
has-
difference?
I know
can
because
see it
I
has
gave her my
edits.
edits and they're in there.
they're up
Perfect.
here in red.
Okay.
So
I was
that's-
What are the
looking at it.
first scenes?
Where is that?
That's not on the website because it's not published yet. So it's
So-
not an actual
Oh.
resource.
How do
Okay.
we get
One of
that?
the first things, if you could do that, is let's change the cover,
Mm-hmm.
put the right date.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, the day, because that's what messed me up a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
they're two different covers, but I don't know that either one of them is this from what you're
Mhm.
saying, so.
No, this is the one that I guess the intern helped Deontay editing.
Could you please send us a copy, change the cover,
Yeah.
take it and send us
We
a
don't need a
copy.
cover.
Yeah.
That'd be wonderful.
No
Okay.
cover is
Yeah,
great,
'cause
just senior
Oh,
resources.
it's blurry. Yeah. Oh, no.
I'm here. Oh, yes, Alexis, I'm sorry.
No, I was trying to show it. It's blurred it.
No, it's okay. I see. Yeah, the one on the website, it's still the old one.
Okay.
So the one I'm sharing on the screen is the one with the edits.
What
Got
I'm hearing is that there will be a certain group that will need the intervention of a third party to access these services.
Especially if they're bilingual or trilingual or some other thing.
Right. They'll need the intervention of some third party. They're not,
Well, if they're bilingual, then we'd have to make a bilingual book, so let's
Right.
just start with where we're on.
But
It's
they're
not,
gonna
it's
start
not for
with-
bilinguals,
Yeah,
for people who
but
don't.
that's usually Spanish, but there may be other ones too.
But we don't have anything but English right now, so let's
Yeah.
start with what we have.
right.
And so that's not our concern. Our
Okay.
concern is access and distribution. And to the extent that we put it in these places, there will be somebody there that can help somebody access this CPS guide. You know, either by allowing them to get information from it, or maybe they can print it out for them, you
Oh,
know?
that would be
Or
good. It should
maybe-
be printable in addition, yeah.
Well, there's.
Principal, like when you, I'm sorry to cut you, but when we go to Stop and Shop, there's a thing where you bring your little cell phone and it catches it and you get all the coupons. But if you want, there's a button to press that they'll print it.
They may or may not. They may or may not have the resources. They
Mhm.
may or may not have a printer in
Okay.
kind of in a fitness center,
Yeah,
for example.
But
Yeah.
we have two audiences. One is an audience of seniors that we think will be able to use this on their own and access, and we want to make it as user friendly as possible. The other is, I think, we want to make it as easy for third person not providers, but the intermediary.
Be it the social worker or the caregiver. or
Caregiver.
whatever.
Social worker. Right now, I think pretty much we've geared it towards the intermediary because that's where it's been distributed. That's who's been using it, the social workers, people are in rehab, the social workers look at it.
But well, in 2016, the last time it was actually distributed, they made copies for people, but it's not that it wasn't distributed towards the general population. I mean, there weren't enough copies, but the copies that were distributed were given out to the general population. It's just that the providers felt that they really, really loved it and felt that they used it a lot as a guide.
That's why we don't want to make necessarily copies. for-
Right.
For distribution
Yeah.
purposes. You can have
Yeah.
access to it, or somebody can help you have access
Right.
to it.
It can be emailed
But we
too.
don't have to be worried about the cost of publishing
Mm.
copies.
Can it be emailed too?
Well, if you have a QR code,
How about email?
let me finish.
Mhm.
If you have a QR code, it takes you to the website.
Mhm.
And the website should allow you to print something. Like if I go to the community board website, I can print something, I might be able to download it, in which case I could save it and email it. Again, somebody might have to help you or somebody else do that, but it can be done, yes. That's the way most technology is set up now. And it's not necessarily intuitive to people who don't use it all the time.
Yeah,
But that's why we're talking about third parties. If you can't use it or you see the card and you can't use it and you happen to be at the senior center, you can ask somebody, or at the library, you can ask the librarian, how do I do this? Or can you print this for me or whatever?
and I wanna move ahead for just a
Okay.
minute. I think that for each of the areas like health, we want to have the single point of access. And then look at it from two perspectives. One is, how can we make it user friendly for a third party? And then how can we increase the user friendliness for someone who wants in the community? Am I making sense?
And then
Yeah.
bilingual and then.
The bilingual, we're not gonna
We're
do.
not there yet.
We're not
But,
there yet.
but if we make it geared towards the consumer, can't a caregiver or paid or a family caregiver or even a geriatric care manager find the same information that is geared towards a community member? Why do we have to differentiate it? That's one point. And Jill made a very good point. I believe it was you last meeting. The social workers have a lot of this information. They're the ones who should share it with us. They should tell us this is a great healthcare an agency for AIDS, or this nursing home gives very good care and it takes Medicare and Medicaid. I'm looking for them to share the wealth of their knowledge so we can incorporate it.
Ideally, that's part of, if you're in a setting already, you can ask, send it around. And when we finalize a little more, I think we should draw on that as well. I think it's a very interesting point. Why do we have to have it separate? I think it might take more, what do I know, to make it friendly enough for someone to use it on their own, then we can manage at this point. I don't know.
Okay, but that's why I'm talking about this, okay. So I wrote the city's EEO policy. It was a very legalese document. It was full of, stuff that maybe the average person might not have been able to focus on, whatever. It was 30 pages long or whatever.
Wow.
When we sat down to revise it, somebody came up with the idea of a user-friendly version of it that distinguished between management responsibilities and employee rights. Now, the policy has both management responsibilities and employees' rights. But the About EEO, which you may not know, the little booklet that we created for employees was geared so that they knew what to do to protect themselves. That is what I was thinking about when I talked about this poster. I was thinking first of a postcard, and I said, no, postcard. If we had one of these posters at each one of these places that we name, that might be, it might take us 30 posters as opposed to 30 booklets with 30 pages to just put up something that's accessible. I don't think it needs to be separate. I just think it needs to be distributed in a smarter way, in a way that can reach just about everybody we're trying to reach, including the social worker, including the caregiver, including, the person who's not old, or the grandchild, who helps the person figure out tech stuff. I think that that's the way to reach people. I don't think that we need to have, I'm not quite sure, maybe I'm not understanding. I don't think we need to separate anything. I just think that we need to figure out how to allow people to access it and not to waste money making copies on things that the public may or not
Yes.
get, or that the social workers may be mad if we run out of and we don't have any more money for that. I just think that it's a distribution issue, and it should follow the way everything is distributed now. The world has changed.
I think the distribution method makes a lot of sense. I think, you
Yeah.
do a poster with a QR code, it's taking you to the website with the PDF. Well, next week, if we have to make an edit to the user guide, we have to rerun them.
There you
You
go.
change it in the PDF, and that
There you
QR code's still working.
That is,
Yeah,
As
exactly.
far as the different user groups, I wasn't envisioning that the guide itself was for, like two different guides. I was just saying, as someone who was tasked to do this, my thought was I will start collecting the information, the resources that are available, maybe writing some description so that it could support both individuals,
Right.
but not one or the other. Just, you maybe in the intro, you've got some description, and And the social worker may never read that, they'll just go right to the listing to say, okay, these are what I need, but I still saw it as one.
Yeah, and surprisingly, when I was doing the medical resource part, the top line says, talk to someone, contact Medicare. That's actually a link, all right? And I printed it out so that people would understand it, but the chat box came up and said, you want to talk to somebody now?
Yeah.
So, a lot of these things that we can put in or descriptions of what they have or whatever. And Barbara, I wasn't quite finished with this. I just wanted to go somewhere with it.
Fabulous.
Have information that we can put in to say, and this is what this is, like the New York City Facilitated Enrollment Program. When you hit that link, there's a chart. And it's not enough.
Yeah.
So I intended to take the information, the words from that chart, and put it before the link so that people knew, what kind of stuff is out there that New York City is talking about. But there's a lot of information that is so user-friendly to people. The Medicare site was fabulous. The Medicaid surprised me because it talked about something I didn't know about when I was running around. That there's actually a Medicaid Access NYC website, and somebody said to me, well, you can put your documents in there, and I'm like, hell no, I'm going to Brooklyn. I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Because I had such a bad experience with going to the Bronx office and going into the Brooklyn office that I wanted to hand things to people and have somebody sign and say they got it, but you actually can't go online and do it.
Yeah.
I just didn't trust it because the Bronx office was so horrible that I had the documents and I said, can I email these to you? And they said, no, you have to have paper. So I had to go to the library. I was in there crying, literally, because I had to print out like 40 pages of stuff. And there's no parking around there, okay? I had my mother in the car, and I was afraid to leave her, but I couldn't move the car and run through an alley and come back to hand them paper. And I think when I got back, they were closing and told me that I had to come back.
Maybe at the beginning of each section, we could elaborate and use, there's a description. And that could be sort of like what you're talking about, and very much geared towards both an individual like a grandchild and helping them sort of sift through, and the social worker. But
Yeah, and as we've
particularly
been talking
in-
about this,
Really,
as we've been talking about this, I think what I'll do is I'll work on one of these just to share with everyone. But I'm thinking at the top, some bullet points, like, for a nursing home, what does a nursing home do? And, give some examples, like high level.
What's the difference between a nursing home and assisted living?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, just like some things that might come to mind.
Well,
And
skilled
then
nursing.
here's a resource, if you're looking for a nursing home, this is a resource. And then in the directory, we'll still have, in Riverdale, I think there's 7 or 8 nursing homes, I don't recall at the top of my head. Then I can put that information too. And that way, I feel like it's starting to be a blend of the different users, because the beginning starts to, for the layperson or the caregiver, but then you still in the directory have who they are, that a social worker could jump right to that to say, okay.
Right, and whether it has a memory floor or it doesn't have a
Right.
memory floor. But to use not medical lingo, not professional lingo, to use lingo that's accessible to everybody, to a community member, to a caregiver, and or a professional who might guide them.
A teenager who's just trying to help grandma.
Yes. It's 5 o'clock, so I want to try to wrap up. I promise not to hold you too long, but I think I've got a better handle that for each of these categories, for each of these categories, we have an introduction that guides an individual like a grandchild or a child through some of this, and maybe even ends with the single point of access. Here's a place you can start.
Right.
And then have more details for someone like a provider
About Vivian.
as well.
can there be an example? Like a showing, do this, do that, like, some, example, like a page showing, you know,
Uh,
if you're looking for meals, just as an example.
Once
I
we've
can
got
work
it
through
finished.
one and share it as it's come, as the
Oh, I
draft.
see what you're, a sample for us to follow. Or
An
a
example
sample
of
for
the pattern of what it would look like.
Right.
You mean,
For us.
for in the guide?
A template.
Let's see.
Template, yeah.
Let's get the guide together
Okay.
and let's see. But I think for our next meeting,
Mhm.
during this time, I'm gonna work on a couple, what that I've mentioned. Do what you can on the up in the areas that I've suggested. And we'll see what we've got.
I also want to offer, I just want to follow up on something Miriam said about, there's other people that they've got resources that they're looking at now. I
Yeah,
know we have social workers in our organization. I'm gonna ask one of them or two of them to say, what tools are you using? Mary, I don't know, you want to do the same thing if you've got a social worker or someone that they might want to share the information they're using, and maybe we bring it all together and that'll help us ensure that it's a complete resource.
I'm thinking
So
further out.
I was wondering whether we should, as we approach different organizations or agencies or nursing homes, should we have a questionnaire page for them? Check off Medicare, Medicaid, acceptable, private aid allowed. We have an aid agency and we can assign an aid to a person, all these things. So that makes it easier for them. It's like a survey. And if they want to be listed, and most people want to highlight their services and their agency, they'll fill it out with a deadline to be returned to the office by then and then for inclusion in the updated resource guide.
it's also a very interesting idea. Now, the other thing before we wrap up is, and I'll send an email as well, we need to start thinking about budgetary requests for 2028. And we can have capital expenses and then expenses. And a capital expense is 50,000 or more that will last 5 years or more. So it might need to be, for example, 2 vans at a shop.
Van?
Instead of just one, but we need to start working on that because there's a timeline for submittal. And I will get that timeline. I'll pass it on, and I think we'll maybe start and designate a certain amount of time to do that, because that's important. I don't want that to get away from us.
Do we use vans?
I'm sorry,
Do we use van?
Not for
Van?
community board, for places that.
we're asking, we're asking DIFRA, I think it is.
Oh, and a one for you.
The city.
Oh,
These are budget requests that we send to the mayor.
Can I just throw something out there? And
Please.
this is far out. Not, years from now, but at some point when we're either about to finalize this resource guide, or when we have, because of course, if it's online, we can always make edits. Can we think about having a forum and inviting people
good.
who might be our target audience to come and provide input or reaction or something like that, that will help us
Good.
tweak whatever it is that we have. Because that's another way of distribution.
It is.
If you have some sort of meeting or even a presentation at a community board
At a
meeting.
school?
No, at a community board meeting, which has all the community board and other members of the community, which could be physically at a school, but a forum within which we can introduce this.
Right.
And say what it
Yes.
is.
Excellent.
And say what it is,
Excellent.
and talk about, the fact that we want to have this QR code, or we have a poster with a QR code, And who the target audience is, all the things that we're talking about now, we could just have a forum and have people say whatever they want to say or bounce, which would also not only include our target, but would also include our political leaders.
And
We may
providers,
provide
and
money,
providers.
we
yeah.
may provide, whoever, but our political leaders who may provide money and resources to enhance whatever it is we're doing.
With the CC to
Great.
media, invite media.
I don't, when I'm thinking community board, I don't know how, or if the, I mean,
Riverdale Press or,
I think Farah typically handles the
oh, I
the
see.
Yeah.
community board meeting.
I mean, we've had instances, I've been involved with community board for a while, we've had instances where the media was there, but it's not, it's just a community board meeting, it's a public event, so. You should hear your name.
I heard my name.
Next meeting, we're going to start with budget requests. And
Great, just on the agenda, you put budget
Right, so-
requests at the top.
And we've got some really good ideas to work on it.
On the budget requests, great.
On
Oh, on the guide.
I didn't
get to the
Back
budget
to the
request
guide?
the
Okay.
resource guide, but I'm gonna put out a call for budget requests. So we have some ideas before the next.
Sorry, I
Great.
was
And
trying to
just-
turn it off.
I will remind every committee, we usually send to all those organizations,
For you back.
Wine, River, anyone who,
I'm gonna move
to
it.
say a
Bring it back.
letter asking if they have any budgetary needs, they could let us know. So I would definitely say we'll have a letter to send out to everyone as well. As whatever other ideas you have.
Great, great. So I think for each, we're gonna work on the categories. We're going to have an introduction for community members to be able to use them.
Mhm.
Ending with a single point of entry, ideally, that they can call to access housing, for example.
Okay, and this is something we sent to the whole community already to send in their budgetary ideas to us.
Let's
So if
tackle
there's
it.
anything that comes in that relates to this committee, we will send it to you. I am going off, so, great work. This is an addition, individual organization.
Thank you,
Is this going out by email to people?
It did already, yeah.
It did,
and we'll-
yeah, we received it,
Oh, great, okay.
yeah, thanks.
So I think we've got some ideas. What we can do is, right before the next meeting, I'll remind people, I'll ask them to send me what you've got, whatever you've been able to do. We can discuss it and we can talk about budget as well. And I'll send them that budget timeline
Mhm.
that we had last night.
And can we see a previous budget so we would have an idea?
Mhm.
Can you possibly send out?
So Jalen, put in your notes, we'll send the committee the FY 27 budgetary list from last year.
Mhm.
On our website, we have all the lists for all the committees, just so you know. It's on our front page for FY 25, 26, 27. Get an idea of what our budgetary
that's the website,
priorities
yeah.
were. No, we'll email you, we'll email the whole committee
Okay.
with that. And what else was I just saying? We'll
Budget something.
we'll email. What did I just say before that? Oh. It's my train of thought. Anyway, we'll email you all the
There's
budget
sticks around.
priorities from the years
Take
before.
one each person.
And if there's anything else,
Budget.
just ask us. We're gonna send all of you guys the information to work. And we'll send you, okay, I remember now. This, we haven't updated the guide yet. We've only started the process. This is why it's not posted anywhere, because we don't have one done yet. So, but we'll make sure everyone has the most updated one.
Yes.
That it was
So-
only really just some emails and phone numbers were taken off that weren't
So
working
you don't want
anymore.
to.
If you send
Yes.
out,
I'm gonna send that.
So view the edited one we have so far.
Yeah, cause
From April
Right,
25.
and-
Right,
make
Right.
sure the
I have a
basement front is changed.
We'll change it, but it's not,
Just put it in a, can you
we'll
put
just
a,
say
that's
this is a
fine.
draft,
Yes.
can you put a, what do you call it on it?
yeah,
A
we'll change it.
header. Just
Yeah, we'll put a
today.
new header.
Yeah,
with,
that's so that we know when
Sure.
it says 2016.
And that's only internal, so
Yeah.
that will only come.
No, big letters, internal draft only.
Got it.
She said internal draft only.
I heard,
What,
I heard, and it's recorded, so we're good.
I'll put it in the.
what would be great is if you could send it as a Google Doc with us having commenting privileges, only not editing
That's
privileges.
brilliant.
But then we can write in stuff and questions and you can look at it and then.
That we can
Right.
definitely do.
Absolutely be a Google document.
So make sure you write this down.
That's why we record it, that's why I do the minutes.
Right.
And I think we're pretty good, I don't wanna keep you guys fat, that's not right. So I will see you
Thank you.
next month. It is
Are you
always
voting
such
to
a
end
treat.
the
I'm
meeting?
sorry if I haven't been able to.
Have we fixed the date for next month?
Yeah. Do you have we will send you
We
the
did.
list of all the
I know,
meetings for the
it's
rest
second,
of
but
the
I
year.
didn't-
with the-
Yes, yes.
That's the third thing, Jan. Send the committee the rest of the dates.
Okay, yes, the list.
Because we have it, I sent it to you.
Yes, and I replied with April 16th as a possible date
Yeah, I did
to
that,
me.
but the whole list will send to
That'll
the
be good.
committee.
April, what about February?
Because there's, you'll get everyone. That one we had a conflict, so she changed the date. Passover.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. It's always good to
you.
see you. And
Thank you.
I will
Yeah.
pay more attention to the Zoom in the future.
And Georgia will give you a nice big packet with all this information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Don't forget my
Thank
cookie.
you all for being here.
Absolutely.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for the stuff from Greenbaums. I might take another
Take
one.
another one.
If that's really obvious.
Last time.